On page 170, we're talking about humility, anava. And the thing that we're used to thinking in humility in very artificial terms. I'm a very arrogant person, and I have to pretend to be humble. But that's not the truth. The truth is I really have to be humble. You know where you find humility the most? In the kind of person that doesn't have what it takes in society to be very arrogant. So for example, you'll find a lot more humility by people who are not so wealthy, or people who are not so, don't have a job that they brag about. Some people, they go, you know what kind of lawyer I am, I've got a firm and a this and that. And somebody who they sit at the table and they're not bragging about what they do. A person who has some kind of handicap. A person who has, there are a number of people in the world that our rabbis recognize as humble people in their nature. And it's not fair, but it's unfortunately because of the way the world has treated them. But that's a real humble person. And in fact, there's actually many places in the halakha where we prefer a person who has such a handicap to be a chazan or to lead the community in certain things because they actually have real humility, unlike the people around them who have false humility. And that's an interesting conversation to have in a different class of when we call those things up, when we bring those things up. But we're used to thinking that humility is something for a person to have. Humility before Hashem, the obligation of any being in the world that has thought. הגלגלים והכוכבים והמלאכים נכנעים לפניו יתעלה. The spheres, the stars, the angels, they all humble themselves before Hashem. An angel is humble before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. כמו שנאמר לגצז וצבא השמיים לך משתחווים, that the host of the heaven bow down to you. והנביאים אף הם החזיקו במידה זו. The prophets also were humble. Abraham says, אנוכי עפר ואפר, I am but dust and ashes. ודוד אמר, and David says, מי אנוכי ומי חיי משפחת אבי? Who am I, and what is my life, and what is my father's family? What's so special about me, David says. Iyov אמר, הן קלותי מה אשיבך? I am insignificant, how could I respond to you? ומשה עבד השם ושלוחו, and Moshe, who is Hashem's servant and his messenger, תפארת הבריאה האנושית, he is the beauty of the humankind. רבן של כל הנביאים, is the master of all the prophets. Notice how many titles he gives to Moshe Rabbeinu. Compared to Avraham Avinu or Iyov or David HaMelech. It's a pretty interesting thing. We see in every occasion. David Melech, David, we're always talking about King David. Moshe Rabbeinu, not so much.
It's true, yeah.
I told you the other week, Peret said that if a person was born only to know that there was such a person in the world like Moshe Rabbeinu, it would have been worth it for him to be born. Just for that. Moshe Rabbeinu, in our faith, is the greatest. What does it mean, the master of all the prophets? It's not a simple title like, chief prophet. It's not a job description. It means that his prophecy was unlike anyone else's. That his connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu was unlike anybody else's. We sing in the song when we take out Torah. Ashover shira lichvod haTorah. In that song we say, who gave us the Torah? Moshe Rabbeinu, bechir kol nivra. Moshe Rabbeinu, the most chosen of all human beings that ever existed on this earth. It's a tragedy to me that the Jewish community does not speak about Moshe Rabbeinu. I'll tell you why. I know why we don't. We're afraid. We're afraid because we see how the Christians speak about Jesus, and we're afraid because we see how the Muslims speak about Muhammad and that. We're afraid. We're afraid that we're going to talk about Moshe Rabbeinu, people are going to start worshipping him also. We're not worshipping Moshe Rabbeinu. Simply we're saying, we got the Torah, the greatest gift Hashem has to the world, He gave us on Al Sinai. It wasn't just because He was the only guy alive who could have given us the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu was unlike any other human being we've ever known. To be proud about it. And Moshe Rabbeinu, what does he say? Mi anuchi ki elech el Paro. Who am I to go speak to Paro? Hashem, you want to charge me with the task of saving the Jewish people? Who am I to save the Jewish people? Lo ish dvarim anuchi. I'm not a person of many words. Shlach na biyad tishlach. Lo uchal anuchi ki kaved mimeni. Send somebody else, Hashem, please, because this is too difficult for me. It's too difficult. I know the Midrashim here. Moshe Rabbeinu is stuttering, and because he's stuttering, he's afraid to go talk to the king. That's not the pshat in the Chumash. I know that's what we were taught in Jewish day school. But just because we were taught that way in Jewish day school doesn't mean it's true. The real reason why Moshe doesn't want to go, there's a famous video of Shimon Peres, of blessed memory, speaking in the German parliament. If I'm not mistaken, it was the first time an Israeli politician ever took the podium in the German parliament.
Post-World War II.
Post-World War II. There's this, people want to believe, oh, Germany, it's a different Germany, it's a different people. Everybody's grandfather and grandmother were the Germany that we talk about. And I can only imagine what that feeling is. I'm going to be sent as the first politician, and he was a president already. He was in the capacity of president, to go speak to the nation that in our recent history is responsible for murdering millions of Jews. I'm going to be the one to go break the ice, to represent the Jewish people there. I'm certain that when Shimon Peres was offered, he didn't say yes right away. There's some fools. You offer them, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, relax. You're being tasked with a huge task. You're being tasked to do something that's a historical move that nobody has done before. Are you sure you know what to say there? Are you sure you know what to convey over there? I'll never forget. As a kid, I was visiting my grandparents in Israel, and my aunts, my uncles, and they have this show, a TV show called the Eurovision. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's the European talent show. I don't know. Every country sends one delegation over there to sing their national songs and to compete over who's going to win the Eurovision. I don't think Israel's ever won. Maybe once. I don't think they've ever made it up there. And I remember everyone's waiting. What's Israel's team going to sing? So you have the French people are singing in French, and these people are singing in their language. And then Israel comes up, and they sing this version of "Happy Birthday to You." It was the most ridiculous. You probably Google it, Eurovision 1990 something. Happy birthday to you. Nothing in Hebrew, just happy birthday is the worst happy birthday tune you ever heard in your life.
I didn't get the memo.
But why are you coming here and singing in English? And at that moment, you know what I felt? I felt such embarrassment. The German delegation sang in German, the French in French, the Russians sang in Russian, and the Israelis, they sang in bad English. Happy birthday to you. You're being sent as a representative to whatever, in the name of all of Israel. And that's what you do. You think before you did it. Now here, I'm not talking about a European pop concert. I'm talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. He's being sent to go save the Jewish people. He says, listen, maybe I'm not the right person for the task. And is he the right person for the job? Absolutely. But he still has humility to say, maybe I'm not the right person. Does he end up going? Of course he goes. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you're the right person to go, you go. But you don't go just like that. And there's a nice, I don't know if it's nice. Actually, I'm torn about it, you should know. In the Middle Eastern cultures, we have this concept that only the Persians have a name for it. It's called tarof. A Persian person can explain this to you better than I can, but it's a Middle Eastern concept, and not just Middle Eastern, rather, if you would divide the world between what they call, in some social circles, warm cultures and cold cultures. So cold cultures are going to be North Americans, Europeans, much of Europe, not all of Europe, much of Europe, I don't know, Iceland, like the cold places. And then you're going to have warm cultures, so Africa, Asia, India, South America, Central America, warm cultures, where I come from. There's this concept of tarof. What is tarof? It's a game. Everything is a game. You come to somebody's house. Hey, can I offer you something to drink? No, I'm okay. I just drank. He's dying of thirst, you should know. He really wants to drink something. But you don't say yes right away. That's a rude person says, yeah, sure, give me something to drink. So you do it again. Are you sure you don't want? I can make you a tea. No, I don't want to drink. Then they say, I make it for myself. You want to have some tea also? Oh, okay, if you're making it for yourself, I'll take tea also. Now, it's a game, because we all know from the first time that you're going to take tea. But you play this game. When such a person then goes to I don't know, let's choose, an Englishman's house. He's visiting London, his best friend. He says, hey, you want tea? He says, no, I'm okay. And he doesn't ask him again. So he's going to die of hunger. He's going to sit there, he's going to choke for water, and nobody's going to bring it to him. It's like when you go to your friends. An Israeli and an American guy go for dinner together. So what do you do at the end of every dinner? You fight over who's going to pay. You have to do it. You can't just pay. You have to fight over who's going to pay. I'll pay. No, you pay. No, I'll pay. And then let's split it 50-50. You're trying to embarrass me. You want me to 50-50? I'll pay. You'll pay next time. And this is how you do it. The problem is, an Israeli guy goes with an American. The Israeli says, the American says, okay, who's going to pay? So the Israeli says, don't worry, I'll pay. And what are you supposed to say? No, I'll pay. But he does. Okay, you want to pay? Sure, go for it. And then he's stuck. The Israeli guy, I didn't mean to pay the $200 dinner bill. You're stuck. It's just a different kind of culture. In halakha, we have such a concept built in. When someone comes over to you and says, hey, do you want to go be a chazan, lead the community? You say, not really. She asks you a second time, but the third time you have to say yes. If you say yes before the third time, then it's not okay. So we have this in halakha. Because what do you mean? You want to jump up and show your voice to everybody? What's the problem? And I can tell you that in our community we're not careful about this halakha. The reason? Not because of our community, because of experiences we've had with other communities, is if you don't say yes and you're the right person to lead the community, somebody else is going to say, oh, don't worry, he doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. And then you're stuck with, I don't know how to explain, like Attila the Hun's nephew trying to lead tefillah, and nobody wants to hear him, he doesn't know how to sing, he doesn't know the tunes, he doesn't know anything, and then you're in trouble. So sometimes if you know you're in that kind of situation, you should just say, yes, I'll do it. Moshe Rabbeinu, in a very similar, in a very similar way, his humility is not a game, but it's telling Hashem, really, I'm okay. But you insist. If you insist, I'll do it, because you're telling me I'm the only person who can save the Jewish people, so I'll do it. But not because I think that I'm worthy of doing it. I think in general, there's this. Rabbis call the person who goes up for the first time, it's like a food dish. It's like a food, some kind of nice dish you made that has no spices in it, no salt, so it's bland. And the person says yes right away. But the person that says no, he never goes up. He's like a person, you put too much salt in your food and it got burnt from the salt. In Hebrew we call it salt burn. It's like too much. And that's what that person is like. You tried to do too much. You tried to be too humble, and then you got burnt because of it. So you have to know how to balance this kind of humility. And I'll tell you the truth, if we lived in a world where people could be truthful with each other, it might be a good thing. It might be a good thing. When I call Rabbi Peretz and I ask him, oh, so was there a nice attendance in this event you went to? I'll say, wait, I'll tell you. Starts counting. Because you won't tell me, oh, there are about 100 people. No, never about 100. It's always going to be a number that was there. Because it's a lie if he doesn't say otherwise. So you just normally won't answer this question. Or if I call him on Thursday night, it's Friday morning, I say, Shabbat Shalom. So why do you tell me Shabbat Shalom? And now it's still Friday. What am I supposed to say Shabbat Shalom? On the phone? On Shabbat? What am I supposed to do? He doesn't let. I never, unless I'm in Israel and I see Arapet on Shabbat, I cannot tell him Shabbat Shalom. But, there's also problems. Sometimes when we're very truthful, and the world is used to lying, it can hurt people very much. To tell them the truth. Do you like what I'm wearing? No, I think it's ugly. What do? A person already bought this, they're already wearing it. So, I don't know, already the world gets complicated for us. But it would be nice to live in a world where you could just be honest with people without people being offended. But we don't yet live in such a world, and we have to plan accordingly. So, B'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow we're going to talk about a king. And I think if a king has to be this humble, how much more so a politician? What is a politician? What is a politician? A politician is like an actor. What is an actor? He's a professional liar. What is an actor?
Professional fraud.
You see these in the movies. This guy in every movie, he's this general, blowing up buildings, helicopters, missiles. And in real life, he gets mugged in the street. They're gonna one guy with a punch puts him on the floor and he takes his wallet. But he's a general, El Capitan, this one, is the top of the world. But what happens? He's an actor, he's a liar, he's not a general. In fact, if they take him to the army, he wouldn't get through boot camp alive. So why? Because we believe these lies. Politicians are very similar. The politicians are liars that have more purpose than just entertainment. In order to get to where they are, they have to lie to somebody. Somebody's lying too, in order to get to where they get. Okay, so we know it's like a necessary evil. These politicians are liars, but which liar do you want more? This is essentially what we boil down to in the world of politics. You don't find this, oh look, it's a politician, he's like Shlomo HaMelech. It doesn't happen ever like this. And this one, he's like King David. We're going to vote him in. But a politician essentially is a powerless person who you give power to. You understand? Someone once sent me a political cartoon. And it shows like this. It's a piece of wood on a cliff. The politician is standing here, and the whole United States is standing right here. If they decide to walk off this thing, he falls to the ground. His power is only there because you give it to him. So if a king has to be humble, who chooses the king? Who chooses the king? Through a prophet. If he has to be humble, how much more so the guy who is not even he's not a real power. He's not even a real. How do you know he's not even real? You know, there's a blessing you make when you see a king. Let's say you meet a king. There's a bracha you have to make. But the halakha is you can only make this blessing on a king who has the power to what? Do you know? What's the condition to make a blessing on a king? Only a king who can put someone to death without asking anybody else. A king who carries with him the power of life and death. That's the same thing as a similar. It's like a similar style to Hashem. So if a king, do you make this blessing on a president? Can a president put someone to death?
Well, you have to be a little more clear because an autocrat can put somebody to death. In power, an autocrat in power can put somebody to death.
The president of the United States of America.
The president can't because there's checks and balances. But
so then therefore he can't make such a blessing on him.
But
even though he could be the leader of the world's greatest superpowers.
But what about Putin? You can say a blessing over him.
Could Putin kill somebody?
He could.
If he doesn't already? I don't know how Russian politics work.
Like he can.
It's a scary thing. Let's say you were in Libya and you had, what's his monkey's name? This one.
Gaddafi?
Yeah, this one. Yeah, him. He could kill somebody. You look at him the wrong direction, he could kill somebody. Now, if you want to hang around him to make a bracha, this is a different story. But such a person with such power, if power is power, he doesn't have to answer to anybody. This power is what you make a blessing on. Don't get so scared. You also make blessings on idol worship and blessings. What kind of blessings you make? It doesn't mean it's a good thing. You're recognizing that this concept exists in the world. There's a blessing you make when you walk by a city where the majority are idol worshippers. Not a good thing, not a blessing we're making, it's a realization. Hashem, there's still a city where the majority are idol worshippers. You make a blessing when you see a city that used to be Jewish that is now destroyed. Yeah, because you used to think in blessing is like, thank you Hashem. There is no thank you Hashem. Rather with Hashem, we're recognizing that this exists in the world. The president doesn't have such power, so who has to be more humble, the president or the king? The president. He doesn't even have as much power as the king. So who are you to be so humble? The only reason you're there is because people chose you. And so we're going to talk tomorrow night about the halachot of being a king, the laws of being a king, and how much humility he has to have. The reason he has to have so much humility is not only so he doesn't become a crazy power maniac, also so that the people in his kingdom know that if my king is humble, how much more so I have to be humble? It's a whole different world. And so B'ezrat Hashem, we'll talk about that tomorrow.